Welcome to Red Team Rookie. This is my first video ever. This channel is centered around those looking to get into cybersecurity or are maybe in another IT field or a whole different field altogether that have questions of how to get started, if they're even interested in it, and the best ways to kind of go about the path that they may want to seek to achieve. So I'm going to be answering today some basic questions that I get on a weekly basis from people interested in the field, and it's just a way to kind of mass produce and mass answer these questions for people so that they're not waiting on me and my schedule to get back to them, and also just to help anybody who maybe doesn't feel comfortable reaching out and asking. So that is what we'll be going over today, so buckle in and thank you for watching.
1, 2, 3.
My darling, I love you, 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 I love you.
So you're thinking about getting into cybersecurity, you don't know where to start, you don't really know even if it would be the right thing for you. This video is most definitely worth watching. So I think a lot of it starts with doing some research. Looking into different kind of niches or job opportunities that are within the cybersecurity industry and thinking to yourself, that's something I could do every single day plus. So there's tons of different niches. Like I am on the red team side, so I get to do a lot of the offensive stuff that help our clients realize where they need to make changes, where there are holes in their networks, things like that. I get to do a lot of the bad guy stuff, which is very exciting for me. It's the main reason why I chose it. Then there's also blue team, as in things like SOC analyst, things like that, that help protect organizations. You're going through alerts, a lot of problem solving, a lot of divvying up what is really a threat and what maybe is just an anomaly that you're seeing in a network. But there's a million other things. There's incident responders, forensic analysts, cryptographers, security engineers. There's GRC if you're more into the kind of risk analysis of things, the auditors of safety, if you will. There's cloud positions, web application penetration testing, threat intelligence, malware analysis, data privacy officer, and DevSecOps engineers, among many more. There's new positions opening up all the time as we see throughout, technology evolving. It's best to kind of go online and look and see, hey, these are the kind of job functions that I would want to perform every day. You can look at things like job listings, you can ask AI, you can Google, you can watch YouTube videos of day in the life. A lot of these things help me narrow down what niche I wanted to fit into once I did acquire the goals to get hired. And I think it's super essential knowing what you want going into it, because it does matter where you go, and that will determine whether or not you're happy in this industry. Had I gone and done something blue team and not known that, red team is really where I belong, I probably would have been miserable. For most red team people, and vice versa, blue team versus red, the tasks that I do on a daily basis are not for everybody. Same with the tasks that somebody on a blue team at the company that I work for would definitely not be something that would bring me joy every day. So you definitely want to look into those things, job tasks, and you definitely want to look into the hours that are worked. A lot of our blue team employees will work on call for customers in case there's, attacks or security breaches at 3 a.m. on a Saturday. That's on, them to answer those and to help those clients make sure that they're secure and that nothing crazy is happening. It's also best to look into how you work best. Does the job that you want offer being in an office environment? Do you do best when you work in a team setting, in person? Do you do best at home? Is it a hybrid? What works best for you? Because that will kind of help you determine as well your work atmosphere and what would make you happiest. Also, looking into what kind of credentials, education, what are people looking for when they're hiring for whatever position that you choose is best for you? Is it a degree? Is it certifications of some kind? Is it experience years? Look into those things. You can take them kind of with a grain of salt because, as we'll get into, everybody's path to where they get in their position is different. I worked beside people who didn't have a college degree that were amazing at what they did. So it really depends, and we will get into that when I get into the educational portion. All right, education. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos when I was doing research on what should I do to get into the cybersecurity field. And there were quite a few out there that said, you don't need experience, you don't need anything, you don't need a degree. Cool. Some people don't. I think it's wonderful if that's how you got into the field. Some people grew up, kind of roaming in circles that had to do with IT, cybersecurity, ethical hacking, sometimes even, the bad guy stuff. So they may already have kind of that innate knowledge within them. I think it's best to really be honest about where you are education-wise as far as it comes to foundational skills when it comes to IT. Are you able to break down a full computer? Are you able to tell me, the 7 layers of the TCP stack? All of these things come into play most definitely in your job. It might not be all of the time, but those foundational basic skills about IT and computer science in general are super essential to helping you understand any type of complex attack, any type of complex alert, anything like that. I don't think that they are things that should be bypassed, and I feel like if you don't feel confident on them, it would be best to not cheat yourself in the beginning and maybe go back to the basics for just a little bit. Something like subnetting that a lot of my fellow people that I went to school with, they absolutely hated it. Subnetting is something I use every single day. Every single day. If you don't know what that is, sleep well until you do. But yeah, so those are really foundational things that are necessary to know. And if you already know them, that's awesome. I would just be prepared to show that you do, either by having a very knowledgeable interview, or maybe having a physical lab or things like that to kind of prove that even though you don't have a degree, I've done this and this and this and this, or I've had these positions, so I know what I'm at least talking about to this extent. There's a lot of schools that offer degrees, especially cybersecurity now. It is kind of popping up everywhere. And a lot of those classes can be done online. It's amazing for somebody like me who's an introvert now that loves to be able to study on my own time. Being able to study in an at-home atmosphere really helps me engage with the information more rather than being in a classroom setting. I think we're all kind of nervous Nellies when it comes to being around new people that maybe we're not comfortable with. This makes it awesome. On the other hand, if maybe you don't understand something or get something, that can be, a disadvantage of not being in a classroom right in front of your professor to ask certain questions. Sometimes sending an email, you might not get answers back right away. There's ups and downs to all of it. So I would say, decide what's best for you and how you learn best and go with that. Computer science degrees as well are super beneficial in this field. There's a lot of people that don't think they need programming or, basic IT skills to get into cybersecurity. They'll take the Security Plus and think that they're good to go. Unfortunately, there's a lot of foundational things below that are super important. And I promise you, you are only cheating yourself by not nurturing your brain with that information. All right, the next big thing about education and IT is IT and cybersecurity certifications, the big C. So this is I kind of bulk this in the category of self-teaching kind of mechanisms, because in reality, if you're not getting a certification through school, you're doing it completely on your own. I will do a whole other video about certification prep, what to expect, things of that nature. I'll do a video as well on self-teaching, because those are two main things that I did a lot of my own. So I'm very knowledgeable about the experiences, the rough times, and the benefits that those paid off for. But certifications, they can be done at your own time and pace, which is great, but also dangerous, because I myself have put things off for far too long when it comes to certifications. There is a cost. It varies depending on who you're getting the certification from. I think what I've paid is between $300 to higher for a certification. I haven't seen one cheaper than that, so that's just something to keep in mind. Preparing financially when you want to go take a certification, it's best to look into how much is it. I also have SANS certifications, which are things that I could not have afforded had I not been in the Women of Cyber scholarship program that they chose me for. There's also certification mapping, so you can kind of go based off of the position that you want. And there are people online, and I'll link a couple that I can find below, of certification maps, like where to start if you're a beginner, and kind of what certifications to get yourself to that job position that you want to see yourself at. That was great for me in the beginning, because there was so much information. I didn't even know where to start. And you can Google certifications for what you want to do. Like I would say pen tester certifications. You would get so much information. You wouldn't know what's legit. My best advice is to look at certification mapping diagrams that have already been made by professionals. I may make my own one day, but let's slow it down. There's also, you can go onto LinkedIn or any kind of job posting site and look and see what certifications are being sought after to get hired. Is it Security Plus to become a SOC specialist? Is it, what are they looking for? And those are the things that I think I would aim for, where I'm seeing the most of. I would definitely put that on my certification list, because this is a never-ending list that you will continue until the day you die. Completely up to you, but it's an ongoing thing. You're always learning new things. There's always new certifications coming out. This is kind of another way to prove, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I've shown this in a testing environment. So if maybe school is not for you and that's not your thing, certifications are definitely the next best stamp of approval for knowing what you're talking about and being prepared to do a specific job. Thing that I think is another kind of option for people are cybersecurity boot camps. I have not always heard the best things about them. Some of them could be a scam. I've heard of some of them being a scam. They can cost a lot of money, but some of them really pay off. And there are some grant programs for some of them. I think it really depends on rating what other people have said about them, and possibly talking to other security professionals to see if they're honored, to see if employers are even considering them as acts of experience or knowledge. I would look into that first before you decide to pay a ton of money towards some of these boot camps. A lot of these things you can teach yourself. So that is what we are going to get into next.